conversation with this year's Best Song nominees for the Academy Award this year, the class of 2020. Tonight's program brings together the organization which educates and honors excellence for the craft of songwriting, while we celebrate those who have been nominated for crafting the best original song in the last year, as deemed by the Motion Picture Academy. But before we introduce this illustrious panel, I do need to give heartfelt thanks to our event chair and producer, Ray Costa. We conceived this idea 4 years ago, and it's just an absolute home run. So thank you, Ray. His co-chair, Mike Todd, deserves a round of applause, as well as the rest of our West Coast committee who's in attendance, and we have fellow board members John Tita and Nancy Munoz here in the house. And our host this evening, who I will introduce shortly, is also a Songwriter Hall of Fame. Shortly, and I mean that sincerely. Who's also an inductee for the Songwriters Hall of Fame. But last but not least, I'd like to thank the Los Angeles Film School for hosting us for the third year in a row. Cecilia Berry, your team has been absolutely phenomenal, and thank you. All produced by students as part of our educational outreach mission for the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So to all of this year's nominees, we wish you good luck on February 9th. 2 weeks away, not even. At this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator for this evening, John Burlingame. John is the nation's leading writer on the subject of music for film and television. His work appears regularly in Variety and has also appeared in the LA Times, the New York Times, Washington Post, and Hollywood Reporter. He's also the author of 4 books, including most recently the best-selling award-winning Music of James Bond. He also teaches film music history at USC and has lectured on movie music everywhere, from Walt Disney's Concert Hall to the Kennedy Center in Washington. He also wrote the 5-part Phil Ramone-produced TV series for film, on film music, The Score. He has a new podcast out. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Burlingame. I'd also like to introduce someone I'm just in awe of introducing right now, our host for this evening from the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's an inductee of the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's an Academy Award winner, winning for Evergreen from the 3rd Star is Born of the 4, and written so many songs, I don't know where to begin. Rainbow Connection, We've Only Just Begun. We could spend the evening here reciting his catalog. He also happens to have a day job, the chair of the ASCAP. I'd like to welcome fellow board member, inductee, Paul Williams. John, take it away, John.
Before I introduce our illustrious songwriters here, I'd like to just take a second to say what an honor it is to share the stage with this extraordinary human being. Not only one of the greatest advocates for songwriters and composers as president of ASCAP, but also one of a handful of genuine poets who are also songwriters.
Before you introduce anybody else, then I want to say that I could say the same thing back that, if 11 years as president of ASCAP, I've seen a lot of things written about music and the like, and sometimes it's really wonderfully accurate, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, what were they thinking? But there's no greater advocate for music creators in writing about music than John Burlingame, and it's... Thank
you, Paul. Now, to the reason we're all here tonight, let's talk about songwriting. And let's start by introducing the veteran movie songwriter, having been a songwriter in film since the 1980s, and now with her 11th nomination for I'm Standing With You for Breakthrough. Please welcome Diane Warren. Elton John's longtime songwriting partner, some 52 years, we're told. And now, finally, Oscar nominated for their song, I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocketman. Please welcome Bernie Taupin. Two-time Oscar winners for Let It Go from the original Frozen and for Remember Me from Coco. Please welcome Kristen Anderson-Lopez and Robert Lopez. And a two-time Oscar nominee this year, not only for the song we just heard, but also as Best Actress in Harriet, as well as co-writer of the song Stand Up from that film, written with Joshua Brian Campbell. Please welcome Cynthia Erivo. Now, Cynthia's co-writer, Joshua Brian Campbell, couldn't be with us tonight, but he is with us, I'm told, via Skype. Brian, can you hear us?
Brian, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Brian, can you hear me?
Brian, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Harriet and became co-writer of the song with Cynthia?
Just confirm. Can you hear me? Yes. Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Okay, amazing. I'm staring at a black abyss right now, but I hear you and I hear the love. Thank you. I became involved in projects because Terrence Blanchard is the composer of the film. Sort of became alerted to some work of mine and tipped me off to the Harriet team, and they reached out to me to see whether I wanted to work on something original with a movie. And I did, and we demoed something, and that demo turned into something that we worked on together being Cynthia and I, and that transformed into the stand-up that we have now.
And talk a little bit about what the collaboration with Cynthia was like. Did you sort of begin with a tune? Did she come in with lyrics? How did that all work?
We sort of sat down together and really, thought collaboratively about the lyric and making the song something that would be really honest for Cynthia. Cynthia's, it's a rare blessing to work with somebody who knows her instrument and just has as amazing of an instrument as she does. And what that brought to the collaboration was just this amazing clarity and just sharpness that I just felt so blessed by.
And what's this journey been like for you between writing the song for Harriet, getting it performed, and now, of all things, an Academy Award nomination?
Experiencing technical difficulty.
Can you hear us, Brian? Joshua, sorry.
I can hear you now. I apologize. I don't know where I lost you or where you lost me, though.
I was asking about your journey here, what this has been like between writing the song for the movie and then now, of all things, an Academy Award nomination.
it's been surreal. It's been absolutely providential, I think. I was not sort of expecting this for 2020. I wasn't expecting this for year 25 of life. But it's been amazing. And everybody's been so kind along the way, and I've learned a whole heck of a lot. And it's been amazing. I don't even have words, to be honest.
Well, Joshua, thank you for being with us tonight. We're now going to talk to your co-writer, Cynthia, and we wish you all the best, and we hope to see you here again soon. So, Cynthia, I want to start a little bit earlier in the saga. What about the song? Were you thinking about it while you were shooting the movie? Did you feel that you needed a song, or did that really come after you sort of wrapped principal photography?
Well, I don't know what it was about this particular piece, but I felt like I could give something to the song, give something to a song for this particular piece, just because of the subject matter and who we were talking about, and I wanted to, I guess, gift my voice back to Harriet and Harriet's legacy, and if I could do it in that way, it was another part of myself that I treasure, that I could give as a gift, and so I was really willing and ready to put myself in the place of the writer and performer of a song. I just didn't know if they would go with it.
Was there some question? Is this something that you suggested to your director?
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I asked her. I was just like, I think I can offer something, and I think it could be a part of writing because it's something I love to do. So I think she was going with it for a little bit, and I actually think at first they may have thought I was joking because it's not something that is on the forefront. I don't know that many people know that I even write music. I think people know me as a performer and they know me as a singer, but I love to write, and so I wanted to stretch my wings here for it. And then when Joshua and I got together, and it felt really natural to create this piece, it sort of fell into place, I guess, and they sort of acquiesced and let us get on with it.
I wonder if it was a challenge, because this was a period film,
Yeah.
and yet you need to close with a song that is connected musically, hopefully, with the 19th century saga that you just told, but yet appeal to contemporary audiences.
Yeah.
What kind of challenge was that?
It's a small challenge, but what's wonderful is within the film you have components that we're so used to in the modern day anyway. So the call and response that we have, that hum at the beginning, though it feels very much like it's of the time, of the 19th century, it's also something that we all know from gospel music. So that sound of the voices in unison is something that we wanted to bring in anyway, because it felt like a spiritual, it felt like a call from the ancestors. And then to I guess we wanted to try and combine it with our R&B backgrounds and our jazz backgrounds and our blues backgrounds, so that we were able to sort of tie up the things that both come from the past and the future in both of us, and that because of the way my voice is, I could, I guess, marry everything together. Yeah.
I have to say, this song is so powerful, and your performance is so powerful. One of the things that was lovely to see is the video that was cut together is, I don't know who edited and put it all together, but it's really impactful, and it also carries you into the just the depth of the terror of moving through that time. And it's a powerful bit of film which supports, and right down the line, the songs are all so good and all, and I think it's important to be able to look at something and see something that really tells you where you're going to. I feel like I was experiencing something that you also experienced at the end of the picture. That so that's bravo to whoever put the video together as well. It's powerful.
Thank you.
And your work is wonderful.
Thank you very much. I really love it.
How big a surprise?
That's cool.
Isn't it? How big a surprise was the double nomination?
I can't even describe. I cannot deal with how much of a surprise. I was on a plane to Japan, so I fully wasn't expecting it at all. One was one thing, but to get two was beyond, just beyond. If you'd have told me, because here's the thing, I came to New York 4 years ago to do a Broadway musical. And if you'd have told me 4 years ago that I was going to be sitting here with 2 Oscar nominations, I would have laughed in your face and told you were crazy. But to actually be sitting here with that is, I have no words. It's
Those of us lucky enough to see her in that Broadway musical, it is no surprise at all that she's sitting here. She was phenomenal.
I believe, have you finished shooting your new miniseries?
Absolutely not. I'm literally going back tonight to finish shooting tomorrow. Like I go on set tomorrow.
And tell us what that experience has been like.
Ooh, it's full on, man. This one is full on. Because I am singing everything live in it, and it's about diving deep into who she was and what kind of life she lived and how she struggled to find out what her sound was and how making music really was her salvation, and it takes a lot out of you to do. Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank
So glad
you.
you're here tonight.
My pleasure.
I want to come back a little bit closer to this end of the table now and talk to our longtime friend Diane Warren. And thank you for letting me park in the Real Songs parking spot. Diane, we tend to associate you with songs from big studio movies, things that are sung by Celine Dion or Aerosmith or Lady Gaga. But this song is from a small movie, an indie. Tell us how your participation came about.
I was asked to see the movie and Batman out there. There's some credit. She told me about the movie, and her friend Andrea Von Forrester, the music supervisor. They told me about the movie, and I saw it. And it wasn't really. It was a Fox movie. I saw the movie, and it's about a real life miracle. I don't know who's seen the movie here, but it's a beautiful movie. If there was ever a time we need miracles, it's now, and this was a real one. And there was a scene in the movie that really stood with me. It's, no pun intended. You asked me. Wait, did I answer your question, or was I answering it?
You can go on all night as far as I'm concerned.
I think when I broke my hand, I think I broke my brain.
No, this is good though. So you saw the film and something stood out.
Yeah, this one scene where the science had given up on this kid, and the doctor was basically, what happened was he was ice skating and fell on the ice, and he was dead for an hour, the boy. And the doctor was coming out to tell his mom he was gone, and she went in and she prayed, and the power of her prayers brought his pulse back. Of course, they said, no, his pulse is back, he's brain dead. Long story short, he did live, and I met the kid at the premiere. I mean, he's like us. He's normal. I mean, not like me, 'cause I'm not normal. yeah, not like us.
Some of us are a little outside the box on that one.
But I was like, what's the point of that? There was a point I was trying to make, and I can't remember what it was. But,
There was a scene I think that spoke to you.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Sorry, you guys. Blame it on. I'm hitting my head on the floor right above us on the 8th floor. So there's a scene where the pastor is asking everybody in the room, like a room like this, who believed that he'd be okay, and literally everybody stood up. And it just touched me. It made me cry. It was a beautiful scene. I went back the next day and I started the chorus. That chorus just wrote itself, and it was just powerful. I was like, whoa, and then just wrote the rest of the song. But that
I have to say that first of all, I think writing songs, making music is a holy mission. I mean, you wake up and you're born into this world, and all of a sudden you realize you've got this yearning in your chest. And anybody that I meet that writes music, wherever they are in their career, the beginning or whatever, is I tell them that was not put in your chest for you to suffer. We need your music, and you listen to these songs. This is a spectacular collection this year. This is amazing. These are all. There's not there's not a how'd that one get in there up there at all. Even if I was still drinking, and it's been 30 years, if I was still drinking, I would look at that, and if I had one of them, I would have still done. Yeah, you know, that's an amazing collection of songs. But I want to say this about Diane. First of all, I love Diane's work, but I also love Diane. I love your heart.
I love you too.
And I think that what's interesting is this the films you've chosen to work on in the last few years. I mean, I think you're answering to a higher calling because, you know, from the documentary, you know, to have you right down through the choices you made. They're all songs and stories and films that we need to see, and it's. You know, if nothing else, I have to, you know, and you know what I think of your work and all, and that's right down the, you know, I mean, I saw Q and I went, oh my God, Avenue Q, I went, oh my God.
I would not be here without you.
I've done that, you know. So I'm a fan. The great thing about being a working musician or a working songwriter is we don't have to give up our fan card. I mean, I can be just the gurniest fan in the world, and I am. Quincy Jones walks in the room and I'm like, so, you know, but bravo on your choices, you know. We need that so much, and you've picked up things to work on that are life lessons for us, and that's the best of what we can do, I think, no matter what happens with this, and I think it's remarkable. So I'll hush up.
We have a couple more questions for Diane, but I've been reminded that Cynthia does need to catch a plane and is going to have to leave us, but we want to thank you so much for being here.
May I say one thing? I never get the chance to say this because I am a super fan. I need everyone, like every single person on the stage has at some point been an inspiration to me. Your song got me into drama school. Fine Fine Line, there's a Fine Line. I've been singing Elton John songs and your songs for like my life. Daniel is probably one of my favorites to sing. And Diane, you and I have worked together and we're going to work together at some point. So you have to know that Barbra Streisand is like my queen. So hearing Evergreen is like everything to me. So like to be up on the stage with all of you is beyond a dream. So thank you for all of you.
Drive safe.
So, Diane,
Yes.
what about Chrissy Metz as your singer? Is it true that you weren't sold initially on the idea of Chrissy singing?
Yeah, I was absolutely and totally against it. And
Tell us why.
Well, okay, I hadn't seen This Is Us, and she's an actress. I'm like, okay, an actress that wants to sing, please. How about? And I thought the song was really good when I wrote it. I thought we could go to, you know, I could go to Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood or Pink or somebody like that, or, you know, I had a whole list, and none of those lists had Chrissy Metz on it. But the producer of the movie, you know, was really adamant. He said, just try her out. So I went to my studio. I said, hey, I'm left her with my producer. And Kyle, and I left, and I just didn't want to sit in that room and just, you know, I'm a bad liar. My nose grows if I don't have that. And so I came back in 2 hours, just totally expecting it to absolutely suck. And what I heard absolutely blew me away. Like I was floored, and I'm like, what, where have you been hiding? Her voice has so much, like you can't learn what she has. She's so authentic. She just makes you believe every note, you know? And when it's interesting when you were talking about Cynthia was saying about 4 years ago, like she would have imagined 4 years ago, Chrissy Metz had 81 cents in her pocket. And now she's singing on the Oscars. I mean, that's crazy, right? That's a Cinderella story, you know? I mean, you know, everything about this song is a Cinderella story, you know? I'm so excited I'm more excited about this than probably any song I've ever heard.
And Chrissy now has a record contract
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah, she does. She does.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. He's done some good things.
It's been 32 years since your first nomination.
5 decades. Shit, I thought it should be 100.
And it's my understanding
Yeah.
that you have the most nominations for any woman without a win.
It's kind of like a special
I
thing.
would have to interrupt and say that, you know, especially when you look at this, you know, you sit up here nominated with 4 other songs of this quality. This is 5 winners sitting up here, flat out.
It would be nice to win.
You know, there's a point. It's, you know, and it's kind of usually sounds like bullshit. You know, basically, you know, like it's an honor to be nominated, and it is an honor. And I have lost when I knew I was going to win, but I have to tell you, exactly. I thought I had it wrapped up with Kermit, but no. But I look at it now and I go, wait a minute, that song, it goes like the river flows, was such a brilliant song written for that movie. So I go, yeah, I get it. But as the years pass and you get a little closer to the edge of Geezer and then in the middle of it, you start looking at things a little differently. And I can sit here right now and say that expression has changed. You know, it's an honor to be nominated. Come on, look at that. Whoever, it's an honor to be nominated.
So, Diane, in recent years, you've written songs, especially the nominated songs, that have been associated with documentaries or social conscience issues. Where does this fit in?
I think it fits right along with them. I think this song has a a very timely message. And when I was writing it, I wanted it to have that. I wanted it to, whenever I do a song for a movie, obviously, first and foremost, it has to fit that movie, but I love it. I want it to live outside of that movie, too. And I think this song does. You know, I think in a time where we're so divided that it's a statement of, you know, wherever you go through, I'm standing with you. We all need someone to stand with us, or feel like they do.
And I don't want to talk too much, but I also think there's a lot of people that start out as a pop songwriter or as a songwriter, you know, feel like they make their first choices. I want what we're going to have as a hit in this movie and all. But everybody up here addressed character and moving the elements of the story forward with what they wrote. That's why these songs are up here, because they honored the film first. It's the best song written for a motion picture, so everybody in this list, you know, took the story forward with what they created, and that's great writing for film.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Let's move back down to the far end and talk to Bobby and Kristen about Frozen 2 and Into the Unknown. Can you guys tell us how early you began writing songs for this one? I mean, you know, the original Frozen, if I recall, came out in 2013, I think?
How early we started writing for Frozen 2 or for Frozen 1?
Well, let's talk about 2.
Okay. Well, first, I just have to say, it's such an honor to share the stage with all 4 of you. It's just a dream come true. The way that all of you have impacted our lives is really profound, and you all do it with such grace and heart and honor, and it is an inspiration. So that is.
And just particular shout out to Paul Williams, because without the Muppets and the songs he wrote, I would never have had my big break. We just created Avenue Q with you, like a statue of you on our piano. and if not for Avenue Q, I wouldn't have married this one, and nothing would have happened.
And I was just thinking, maybe we could bring him home with us. Just have a Paul Williams in your office, just be like, hey, how's our Paul Williams today?
He's wandering around.
He's so lovely. Okay, to answer your question.
No, before you get into that, I just have to say that before you got here, Kristen and Bobby and I were talking about how much we love Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Where the river meets the sea.
Well, it'll be across. It's the theater right across from the Disney Theater. This next 2020 holiday season, Emmett Daughter's Jugman Christmas. It will be live on a close to Broadway stage. So.
Yes, it's the most beautiful Christmas story. If you have not seen it, find it, watch it. It is so beautiful. Okay.
Anyway,
our question.
sorry, I interrupted. I think we were talking about Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Yes. So Frozen 2, we got a call. We can't pinpoint. It was either like fall of 2014 or early winter 2015. And Jen is like, I'm just tipping you off. I know we're working on the Broadway musical right now, but I think we're ready to do a sequel, and we want to do it with you. And it's going to be about change and maturity. It's going to be more grown up. It's going to be darker. And we're going to do it the same way. We're going to talk. We're going to find what we care about. We're going to speak every day. And we're going to build it together. And so we were like, okay, Frozen 2. Let's do Frozen 2.
Well, musical sequels are hard to find, and the models of success are few and far between. And so we were scared to get involved with one, but when she started talking about the emotional terrain that they wanted to mine, we realized there's a different story in there, and there's different things to sing about, and different places for the characters to grow and change into, and that really was the key. I think if there hadn't been an idea with some difference to it, then we shouldn't have done it.
And what people don't know, everyone always asks us, okay, so you get a script and then you write the songs. That is not the process. The process is we build it together, and we build it through a very painful process of iteration, of like building a giant Lego city in a gymnasium every 3 months, and then inviting people in, and they hit it with a baseball bat, all the buildings you've just built, and leave like 3 standing, and then those 3 go to the next gymnasium, and you build again, and you hope after 7 rounds of this, by the end, that you at least have enough songs in there, that you have 7 songs sort of standing after the baseball process. But it's quite rigorous, and it involves years and years of talking and collaborating.
It's almost like having a job for, for a couple of years.
And Bobby would say that. He's like, don't you see? We have a job. Because we are kind of on the clock. Like, we're talking to them every single day. And we've got to have something new to contribute. There's new pages coming in. We have to then consult and say, like, ooh, I feel a song here. And it's every single day for almost 5 years.
Into the Unknown seems like it's a very important dramatic moment in the story. And therefore, I wonder, did it come early? And did it sort of stay through this several iterations?
Well, we had a different song in that same slot originally, and it was a solo called "I Seek the Truth," and Elsa was she had found a journal of her mother, and she had realized, oh, there's a secret that I need to find out. I need to find the truth.
It's very emo. It's on the deluxe album, and I'm singing it, and it's sort of like, Mother, I'm flipping through the past. Like, you can listen. But it didn't stand.
Oh, I love that.
It's on the deluxe album.
The digital deluxe. Yeah.
Like turning pages of a book to find you. Mother, I am lost. Mother, I am scared. Mother, I don't know what to do. I'm really hoarse. Anyway, it fell on the floor because it was just really cerebral and meditative. And we realized we really needed to activate this movie with a very strong drive. These movies, they need to have a strong drive and a clear drive.
Elsa needed a drive towards joy, basically. We needed to find what she wanted, because she was, in essence, the main character of this one, whereas Anna was the main character of number 1. So we invented this voice that was calling to her from her past, and was singing in a high kind of shepherdess call that we based on this tradition of cooning, which is like a cow call from Scandinavia.
And it's the Dies Irae, really, and it's an old, ancient hymn, and it's used in music everywhere. It's
Dies Irae, Dies Irae,
right.
da 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 da.
But it's used in The Goonies, it's used in, Star Wars, it's used in...
The Shining. And
Uh-huh.
Home Alone, it's all over Home Alone. Sweeney Todd.
And it was calling her, and it gave her something to be in a duet with. And once we found that she was in a duet, then I was
and
like,
it symbolizes death. I mean, that's the meaning of this phrase. And that meant that Elsa was going through a journey that was dangerous and that could lead to her death. And this is what Anna, throughout the film, is worried is going to happen.
I'm interrupting you, because I'm also saying that it sort of captures the blessing.
Happy wife, happy life.
It captures the blessed unrest that I think all of us feel, especially in our 20s, that feeling of like, I'm not where I belong, and it's hard to change. It's hard to change your trajectory. It was something that spoke very personally to me as someone who went into musical theater to become an actress, but I was like, playing nuns in New Hampshire is not what I thought it was going to be. And to that blessed unrest that made me go into the unknown and say, like, what would songwriting be like? And then finding it and finding that purpose and realizing that that's a form of true love too. Just like we changed the first movie from true love is not just the prince kissing you and everything's good. That to like true love could be family. Now true love can be finding your place and purpose and inner strength. And we're talking too much, so I'm going to sit back.
Not at all. The process is so fascinating. When you're writing, do you bring the performers in to consult with them? Or, I mean, you know, did you ask Idina Menzel about hitting those high notes? Or how did that all work?
We certainly thought about her voice, and we know it now from having worked with her on the first film, and I think we brought different options when we finally went in to rehearse for the first recording session. We said, you want to try in this key, you want to try in this key, and she always picks the highest one. For Let It Go, she pushed it up a key. We had written it in G, and she pushed it up to A flat, so you know, she's a glutton for punishment, that one. But I think it works. I mean, she sounds so.
She knows her money
thrilling up there.
note. She knows E flat. The E flat is this thing that other people can't do. Just like Elsa and her snow powers, Idina's got her E flat.
I have to ask you, do you guys ever think about the fact that with Let It Go, you have written one of the seminal empowerment anthems of our time, something that has inspired an entire generation, especially of little girls. What is that like? Do you think about that?
I'm sorry, Bernie. I'm sorry. Do you have a grandchild? Does she have the doll?
I got
a daughter. I was going to say that everyone on this stage, I think, knows that looking at yourself from the outside or looking at your legacy is a pathway to unhappiness. You cannot start thinking or giving your eyeballs away to other people and say, well, how do they see me? Because then you can't do what we need to do is walk around life as human beings, feeling everything. And learning and growing.
Been the great thing about this journey is we've kind of gone from fixed mindset, which is, you know, how am I going to protect what I have, to just growth mindset, which is like, how can I learn something new every day? And that's the great thing about this process, because we get to meet all these amazing people and learn from them.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts about looking at your legacy, both of you. How do you keep yourselves from just looking through Facebook like, who's talking about me today? Who loves my song? I don't either. I never do.
You know,
I mean, you all know it's really dangerous, right? Like,
yeah.
so we don't think about that. We just enjoy the little girls and the videos that get sent to us and retweet them.
I have to tell you that writing, for me at this point in my life, the thing that keeps me in the game is how much I learn. I've been writing with these guys, Portugal the Man, and I think that I have been, you know, a lot of the writing within the boxes of the way I write and what my feeling about verses or song structure, whatever, is just getting kicked out to the side, and I'm having more fun. I don't want to write with the big ballad writers. I want to write with guys that scare me. You know, if there's no anchor piercings, I'm not in the room. I want.
What
vagina piercings. I'm just talking
What's an anchor? Oh, anchor.
and, you know, it's just, but I think that's what keeps it, you know, the game at a certain point when you're as old as I am, you know, to feel as excited as I am to sit down with somebody and just, you know, the other big thing is at a certain point you discover how much of the work your unconscious does. I mean, I've told this story before, but I sat down newly sober to write the songs for the Muppet Christmas Carol. And I had not, you know, and it was like I was newly sober. I was on a spiritual path, dealing with, you know, with an inventory, dealing with my past, exactly what Scrooge was going through. So, I mean, the universe couldn't have lined me up for a better story, because I was in my own way with Scrooge. I was all of a sudden, I had awakened to a sober life and was beyond grateful. I mean, it was my grrr attitude had been joined together to gratitude, and it was a great. But I sat down to write the first song for Scrooge, and you know, I basically had not really thought about it consciously. You know, and when I finally sat down with no ideas, I prayed about it. I said, Big Amigo, you know, I'm going to write this song about where we see Scrooge the first time, and we see his feet, and he's kind of walking along, and as he goes by these little creatures, they get colder, you know. So let me know when you have a really good idea. And I picked up a novel by Lawrence Block and started reading, sitting out in a park with my little tape recorder. And I'd read the script, and I'd read the original book, you know, but I was sitting there about 3 pages in, I went, okay, wait a minute. I put it down, I went, okay, he's walking, bum, 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 bum. When a cold wind blows, it chills you to the bone. But there's nothing in nature that freezes your heart like years of being alone. I went, wow, you guys are good, that's not bad. and I rolled forward, and I couldn't write it down fast enough. And I think the big lesson for me is that you know, don't squeeze the kitty. Don't stand on the hose. Realize that you were maybe put here to do this, so just get out of the way, you know. And it's like, if I get something that's really, really good, just let it out, you know, let it out.
I don't know if Diane and I should use that "don't squeeze the kitty" phrase. We'll get something else.
Well, you squeeze the
We're
kitty,
just
it'll
showing
jump out of
pictures
your
of our
arms every
pussies.
time.
Thank you for saying it.
Or cats.
My cats.
Cats are pussies. Yeah.
Very cute.
I'm gonna
Very
go
cute
down.
pussy.
Bernie, I think we need to save this. So, talk to us a little bit about the song from Rocketman. Was there always an idea to do a new song in Rocketman, maybe something that would summarize the film? What was the concept?
Well, before that, can I just say that I think I'd be remiss in saying that I miss Randy Newman tonight.
Yeah.
Because I was hoping he was going to be sitting here so I could rub his arm and get a little of his mojo.
Yeah.
Good Old Boys is probably one of the greatest albums ever made.
Of all time.
Yeah. So, sorry. Actually, having said that, that end credit song, I don't think was in the cards originally. I think at one point, I mean, you know, like anything, when a movie goes through all its gestation from day one, you know, the movie changes, the ideas of the music changes, but it wasn't until the very, very last moment that we started talking about what we were going to do over the end credits. And at one point it was maybe Taron and Elton were going to do one of the older songs and just, you know, recreate it. And then somebody, I don't know who it was, in their sort of better wisdom said, well, wouldn't it make sense to do something original? Which obviously, you know, everybody goes, yeah, because that would bring us here tonight, you know, possibly. The original idea was to do something, because the movie ends with I'm Still Standing, which, you know, it's anthemic, it ends on a high note, it's all about redemption and, you know, stepping into the future. So the idea would be definitely to take it a step further and keep that going into the end credits. I'm not always the best judge of what is necessarily the best thing to do. I'm just, these guys are all professionals. I'm just like a hack writer who
Rank amateur.
Let's all sing. I guess that's why they call it the blues together right now.
Yeah, but I didn't write the melody, I just wrote a storyline, and that's what I do. I mean, I just go in a room. It's a solitary thing, and pick up a guitar and play a couple of chords and get some kind of rhythmic structure and hopefully write a story. But going back to, this whole process with the end of the movie, my initial idea was that I thought, obviously you got to continue with the redemptive theme, which I wanted to do. But my idea was more possibly sort of taking it down a notch and going into a kind of, I had sort of this Tom Waits sort of waltz kind of thing going. And it didn't take me long to write the lyric, because it was kind of a no-brainer in the direction it had to go and what it had to say. And in my own, I don't know, whatever style you want to put me into, I always like to use, I'm kind of a sucker for metaphors and just throwing curveballs in where, I don't want it to be ordinary. I want to say what needs to be said, but I want to say it in a way that makes people think a little bit. So hopefully that's what I did, but I did have that kind of idea in mind, and I told Elton that more or less. I said, this is how I see it. And as Elton is, he paid no attention to me and went and took it in this Motown kind of direction. And then, he didn't even call me back after I sent him the lyric, and because he went in straight away and did the demo, and he sent me the demo. And I don't know where it got lost in translation, but the demo happened to be ended up very muddy, and I really couldn't make sense of it. And I was a little concerned, and then the next thing I knew, they'd done the track, brought Taron in, to make it the icing on the cake. And then when I heard the finished track that Giles Martin did, the light went on in my head, and I just went, oh, yeah, now I get it. This makes perfect sense. Because I think if we'd finished the movie with I'm Still Standing and dropped it down to this sort of waltz-like, reflective kind of thing, we would have lost the momentum. And what he did was he kicked it up a notch, and that's why he does what he does and why I do what I do.
What about Elton and Taron doing it as a duet? Was that always the plan?
No, well, as I said, at one point there was the possibility of them singing one of the older songs that wasn't in the movie as a duet. But then, as I said, somebody in their greater wisdom decided that it would be much more advantageous to do an original song. And then somebody again in their wisdom said, well, let's get the two Eltons to do it together, the real one and the person projecting him in the movie. And the beauty of this movie is that Taron does all his own singing, and they recreated the songs. And I think, that not only does the kudos go out to Taron, but also to Giles Martin, who recreated our songbook so magnificently, and I think he deserves a real shout out.
It sounds like the most fun job ever.
It's not bad.
But you did something that probably none of us could do. You managed to write a song that really sounds like Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
I got no answer for that one.
It sounds just like that. Oh, of course.
When you and Elton were on stage at the Golden Globes, Elton said that this was the first award that the two of you had won in 42 years of songwriting. Is that true?
No, absolutely not.
That was a good line, though.
Let me ponder this a minute. Okay, I think what Elton was saying, because we've certainly got a fair share of awards. I think what he was saying was that Golden Globe-wise, Oscar-wise, Grammy-wise, we've never actually won, we've never won a Grammy together for Best Song. We've never won an Oscar together for Best Song. We've never won a Golden Globe together for Best Song. Individually, I've won a Golden Globe. Individually, he's won. I've not won an Oscar. He's won one. But, you know, we've won Ivor Novello's in England, you know, for songs. So part of what he's saying is correct. Part of it, what he's saying is absolute bullshit.
Well, you may not have won a Golden Globe before, but around this globe you've won billions of hearts. It's just...
I'm taking you home. You're coming. You're coming.
I'm
Brooklyn
putting
is
you
so
on
nice.
the top of my piano. Spraying you gold.
I'll go for a third rider.
You know, since he's not here, maybe we should talk for a minute about Randy Newman.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think this year marks his 21st and 22nd nominations, because he's nominated for both original score and original song this year. I wonder who wants to chime in, maybe Paul does, about the impact of Randy Newman on all our lives.
I'll tell you how it started for me. I mean, I loved Harry Nilsson. Harry Nilsson was just, I was nuts for Harry. And we wound up having the same managers, and I just gurned out. Just was the day that I met Harry, I was like, I just Aerial Ballet and you know, the Pandemonium Shadow Show were two albums that I thought were just stunning, you know. And I told him so, and Harry went, "Come with me." And so we go in the other room, and he cranks up his sound system to maximum volume, and he said, "I want you to hear a real songwriter." And I sat there and listened to everything that he had, that Randy had ever written. I actually wrote a song called Nilsson Sings Newman. Do you love me, babe? Do you love me now?
He made an album, too.
Yeah.
Nilsson made an album, Nilsson Sings Newman.
But before that, I wrote a song called Nilsson Sings Newman. Do you love me, babe? Do you love me not? Let's decide in the morning, not now. Oh, you don't like Schumann or Randy Newman. Nilsson ain't your cup of tea. You think Van Heusen is a shirt worth choosing, and you're still undecided about me. Whoa, do you love me, babe? Decide in the morning, not now. You know, so it's like that. But he is just... And I got it when he played all those songs for me. And I will tell you that the peak of the something I can't believe I'm about to share with the world. I had 3 hits with Three Dog Night. My favorite Three Dog Night song is "Mama Told Me Not to Come." I didn't write it.
By Randy Newman.
By Randy Newman. Just brilliant. He's just.
Can I just say one thing as a lyricist, Randy Newman? Because I don't know if it was you on the phone with me the other day was saying, you know, the fact that I got Kryptonite into an Oscar-nominated song. Randy Newman got Lester Maddox into it. That's even better, man.
Other thoughts about Randy as Pixar composer, perhaps?
Well, we were talking to him yesterday. We were very lucky to get to sit across from him at the Oscar luncheon, and he was saying, "I don't know, I'm gonna perform at the Oscars. I'm a little nervous about it." And I was like, "Randy, it's like everyone's best friend is going up to the piano. You, with your work, you've created this world where we feel like we know you, and we feel like you've got a friend in him, right? Like, aren't you my friend?" And so I was like, so it's gonna be like when you're at your friend's house and your friend goes to the piano. It's going to be this warm, wonderful, historic moment. And he was like, "Okay, I'll use, that was a good pep talk."
Well, listen, on that note, I want to thank everybody up here for being here tonight, and thank you for being here. So please, will you help me thank Kristen and Bobby Lopez, Taupin, Diane Warren, and Paul Williams.